Hello, we are here today to record the oral histories for Where the History Meets the Road, celebrating Route 66 in Colorado Boulevard, exhibition at the Pasadena Museum of History on view June 13, 2026 through January 24, 2027. It is 12:07 p.m. on May 13, 2026. In the room, we have Lyle Johnson as videographer, Natalie Riddick as interviewer, and we are here today with Don Fedde. How are you today?
I barely can hear you, so...
I will speak up. I
Fine,
apologize.
thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Could you please state your full name for the recording?
Yes, I'm Don Fedde of Pasadena.
Wonderful. And how old are you?
I'm 88.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Pasadena. My parents had started our family business the year before I was born. So I haven't been very far except for travels.
Yeah. What was it like growing up in Pasadena?
Oh my goodness, go back to the 50s, of course, and think of junior high and high school years. And I went to local Pasadena schools, Jefferson, Marshall, Pasadena High School, even 2 years at PCC on my way to USC.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And what was it like growing up with your family business?
Well, both my parents worked in the family business from the day it started. And not too long after they founded it, World War II came along. My dad had a technical background, and he went to work for Naval Ordnance Test Station out on Foothill, which was coordinated with Caltech. And my mother ran the furniture store during the war years. There were various struggles and lumps along the way, but we have survived. Almost one of the few of many furniture stores that were in town at one time. And we exist to this day.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Good.
And what were the challenges of building a business during time such as World War II, Great Depression, and how was it on Colorado Boulevard seeing the businesses around you change?
East Colorado Boulevard, Route 66, was almost like another town, completely. It was the eastern entrance to Pasadena. It almost had an abandoned section on Colorado Boulevard seen before you got down to downtown Pasadena. East Pasadena had been a 2,000-acre vineyard, winery, that belonged to a guy named Leonard Rose. His wife's name was Amanda, so he took his first initial, L, and put it in front of Amanda and gave us Lamanda Park. And East Pasadena at that time was known as Lamanda Park. Route 66 was paralleled one block north by the Santa Fe Railway, and that kept things busy. We were on East Colorado near Sierra Madre Boulevard, and my parents rented a storefront from the Finyas estate. The Finyas estate are the donors of the property that is now used by the Pasadena Museum of History. And we have the Finyas Mansion there on Orange Grove and Walnut. So we've had a long tie-in with the current museum organization. It was a struggle at first for my parents. There were a lot of other good furniture stores in town, Barker Brothers, Biggers. A lot of good lines were not available at first. And I felt like we had the crumbs off their table for a while there. As they have all gone out of business, many of their longtime vendors have come to us. But anyway, we rented additional storefronts until we got to the middle of the block, which was the Uptown Theater. And my parents, on very early days, would sometimes come down and open the store at 10 o'clock at night when the theater let out, in hope of catching some customers. There was a restaurant across the street in a home, Brotherton's Farmhouse Restaurant, that old-timers would remember, and we ended up trading them dining room chairs for chicken dinners. But that was part of the struggles to keep going. The war came along, of course, suddenly for everybody, and everybody turned to as needed. If my dad was medically unable to be in the Army or Navy, so he went to work, as I say, for the Naval Ordnance Test Station. And towards the end of the war was a foreman there with a lot of people working, making some pretty interesting things.
Yeah.
At the end of the war, the man who owned the other end of the block, Orrin Fox, came to us and offered to sell the entire rest of the block to my parents, which they did. And, excuse me, and that worked out very well. It was a 1917 building, still is. Originally a Ford dealership in the middle of the block. They sold Model Ts there. The building is rounded because the streetcar tracks came up Sir Madre Boulevard and had to turn left on Colorado and join the rest of the streetcar tracks that existed at that time. The overhead was a maze of wires and was a mess, of course, by today's standards. But we then moved to that and continued from there. I don't know if you have other questions or want me to go on endlessly here.
No, that's a wonderful story. Thank you. What was it like in inheriting this family business, and how has it evolved today?
Well, we, as I say, we're able to survive. The back of our property was originally a ballet school and a Masonic lodge, and beneath that a mortuary, which is now full of furniture. The original structures are all still there. The Colorado Boulevard, Route 66, of course, changed with the freeways and changed with the freeway that came through Pasadena. In the early days, the only way for us to get furniture from North Carolina was by railroad. So occasionally we would spot a boxcar a block north of the store on the Santa Fe line, and I, as a youngster, would occasionally unload a boxcar in order to get merchandise. A lot of that now has been replaced by modern semis and modern freeways. The original Route 66 was, of course, a lot of stop and goes as it went through every small business community. But we've had help from the city as far as arranging the center divider of Sir Madre Boulevard, so we can now back semis in, and we now get regular transcontinental semis every week from New York and North Carolina and Oregon and Texas, which keeps us supplied and very busy at times.
Yeah. What was witnessing that transition from railroad to semi-trucks and roads, and just seeing how that evolved, like right before your eyes?
Well, it was, I can remember there was a proposal to put a solid center divider on Sierra Madre Boulevard, and we had only one supplier from Texas at the time who had one of the original long-run semis. And I was able to take a photo of that semi exiting our driveway to the Planning Commission and City Council to please leave the center divider open, which they did. And the north end of Sir Madre Boulevard at Colorado is open to this day. So that works.
Yeah. And witnessing the decommissioning of Route 66 and the Pacific Railway, how did that change the foot traffic of your business and tourism and things like that?
We obviously were a local store in the early years. The internet has changed everything. We now draw customers from all over Southern California and even out of state if they're looking for a particular item. We specialize in a lot of craftsman-type furniture. Green and Green, for instance, used Stickley furniture for some of the bedrooms way back in 1910. We, during the recent period, were at a brief moment in time, were the largest single-store Stickley dealer in the whole United States. This comes from upstate New York, and we've been very proud to have that. When all these other stores, as I said, retired or were sold or went away, a lot of their suppliers that we had long sought came to us, and we were lucky to take them on, Stickley being one of them.
Yeah.
So,
how special is it that your family store has stood the test of time, and as a local business now, maybe people who came to your store as children are now coming back as parents at their own homes?
Well, we're into a lot of third generation of customers. My dad passed away with a heart attack after work about 2 years after I had graduated from college. And that was in the early 1960s. So ever since then, I've been running it. I had to travel for the Tournament of Roses in 1989 as tournament president. And my son was there and was able to take over a lot of the merchandising. Sales went up, and we left him in charge of the merchandising ever since. One of the great experiences that we've had as a family and individually in Pasadena is being a member of the Tournament of Roses. And I feel like I've been a lifelong member. I continue as a past president on the tournament board. But the connections, the people we have met, the traveling we've been able to do has made being in Pasadena a wonderful thing. We were lucky to have a roof sign right after we moved into the building. They were unusually popular at that time. It's now become a Route 66 landmark, but that became a good beacon for anybody arriving to town from the east. But again, now with the internet, we go all over, and I've been fortunate to have some wonderful employees over the years. One man was with us for 50 years. Started in the warehouse and stayed with us to the very end. So that's what it's all about, is people. And that has worked well for us.
Yeah, that's very special, building something like this with your family, and then an extended work family of people that have stayed for 50 years. That's really wonderful.
I do.
Could you tell me more about being president of the Tournament of Roses? That's really interesting.
I guess that would certainly tie to Route 66 with the parade coming down. As you may know, the parade travels Colorado and turns north at our intersection. With our rounded corner building, And when the streetcar went away, the city squared off the corner, leaving us with an abandoned triangle of land out there that we were happy to purchase. So for many years, we put up a grandstand there, just to protect the building, the glass windows of the building, with the crowd that would accumulate on that particular corner. So that was always a New Year's Day experience, and I even parked cars on vacant lots as a 16-year-old across the street. But belonging to the tournament, as you may know, there's many committees. You get a new committee every 2 years. You're selected to be a tournament president 7 years in advance, and get to coordinate all the committees during that period of time. A tournament president now visits a lot of the participants in the parade, all the bands certainly. Our year we had an international theme, and ended up traveling for the tournament to Taiwan and Japan and all of Europe, with bands from all those locations, and it's been a thrill to this day. A lot of our early relationships still exist. It's a wonderful job if one wants to go through the work that it takes to get to that, but it's very part of Pasadena, and of course very much a part of Colorado and Route 66.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And you mentioned your son now manages the store. What has it been like to watch him grow into the leader for the family business?
Very, very satisfying, and the tournament kind of caused me to step out of the way and give him a good chance at it. He's nearing retirement age now, so that's a new experience for me. I do go to my desk there almost every day and help out with something, but it's been a lifelong work experience that's really quite enjoyable and very comfortable for us. Thank you.
Yeah. And after looking back on the years of this business and its success, financially, but also just as a part of the community, what legacy do you hope the business brings to Pasadena?
Well, I know a lot of people will remember us for their furniture, and of course we are sad about all the folks that lost their households of furniture, particularly in the Altadena area. And we've been working with a lot of people both on establishing their values and replacing things. The tournament job has led to many, many other jobs, including being part of the Museum of History, and we've done a lot of work over there. We actually lived 45 years in San Marino, having purchased a fixer house back when you could do that. But a lot of these people now live with us at the Monte Cedro Retirement Community in Altadena. And a lot of them moved in there, complete with furniture from Fedde Furniture. But as I say, we continue on well and owning the property as we do, have no urgency to do otherwise. It's fun to have nice things and make people happy with that.
Yeah.
Good.
That's wonderful. And finally, what is your hope for the future, for business as continuing to be part of the Pasadena community?
The furniture business of Nicer Things is very responsive to public morale. Recession times, wars that were currently going on, fires, while that left a lot of people unhappy, and a lot of other people had to replace things if they were able to find a vacant any place to live. But so we rise and slow down sometimes depending on what's going on, and it will be nice when we can wrap up the current war that is going on. But we've been through that before. The Korean War, Vietnam. World War II toughened us up. But as we look back over the years, that's been all part of the business cycle. It was interesting during World War II, we had an appliance department, but nobody had appliances. They weren't making any. And shortly after the war ended, it took manufacturers of a year or year and a half to get going again, but we had some of the first refrigerators that people had not been able to buy for many years. So they lined up around the building one day to get a chance to buy a refrigerator. We also were one of the first places in town to sell television. Original televisions came in big cabinets with a little tiny tube, which was mostly a furniture type item. But we can recall putting a TV in the store window with a speaker outside, and people would watch news events on the sidewalk if they didn't have a TV. One of the most important early events was the Kathy Fiscus tragedy in San Marino. And I recall small crowds gathering to watch on the sidewalk through our show window what was actually going on down the street. One of the first telecasts that KTLA ever made remotely. All part of the experience along the way.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story of your family business and Colorado Boulevard. It's been wonderful chatting with you today.
All right, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to tell about it.
Of course.
Enjoyed being here. All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Okay.